Assalamualaikum and a very good morning for those who are watching this video presentation. Today, we would like to present about a proposal plan of digital archive of Sheikh Clinic. So before we go further, let me introduce myself. My name is Nursyuhadah Natasha Binti Mohamad Rizal as a first presenter. Today, I would like to present about the introduction of the Sheikh Clinic. So I hope you guys enjoy this video presentation. Take a deep breath and enjoy the input that I would like to share with you guys. For the introduction, we choose Sheikh Clinic as our organization to create and build the digital archives. Okay, first I would like to explain about the Sheikh Clinic. Okay, Sheikh Clinic is the health service center that provides the health service for the individuals, community, and also families member. Okay, by this we can see that Sheikh Clinic is one of the private clinic that provides the best health services that according with the current technologies that they have been used. Sheikh Clinic located at the Kota Kemudian Shah Alam, Selangor. By this, we can say that Sheikh Clinic is one of the organization which is one of the successful organization that have 30 employees, included 5 doctors and also 6 physiotherapists. As for the organizational chart, Dato' Amin Syed bin Mohamad is one of the person that create the Sheikh Clinic and also act as a chairman in order to manage the Sheikh Clinic to be the better organization that provide the best service health center. Okay. The main services that provided by the Sheikh Clinic was started with the X-ray, lung function test, sonography, and CR processor for X-ray, which is we can say that Sheikh Clinic using physical form, which is we can say that as paper forms, in order to record each details of the patients and also the overview of treatment, and also they use X-ray as a one of the photography.
Assalamualaikum and good evening. My name is Mohamad Azizul Hakimi. So today I'm going to present to you about the problem statement of the Shai Clinic and also the solution that I propose for the problem statement. Okay, the first problem statement are the space in the building is very limited, which is they store all of the record, which is the active record, semi-active record, and inactive record in one building. However, in the building there are very limited room, and they only spend one room to manage all of the record, and all of the record will be stored in there. Therefore, it is a very limited space, very limited shelf, and very limited space. And due to the lack of space problem, there occur another problem, which is there are no space to store the record, and some of the record are not managed by the record manager, which is some of them pile up this record on the floor. This can cause many other problems, such as slow in retrieval because the records are not arranged at the shelf, and also they will waste the customer time if the customer wants their record and they need to wait for the record management or for the record manager to retrieve back their records on the pipe records. Okay, the next problem is the deterioration process of each record, which is the physical record is very impossible to eliminate or stop the deterioration problem. Therefore, some of the record may deteriorate faster and some of the record may deteriorate slow, and this become a very huge problem for the clinic Shaikh. And the last problem is cost and limited staff, which is the Shaikh clinic or clinic Shaikh is under the not under the government. Therefore, all of the fund is under the staff, and the staff that work under the record management is very limited, and it sometimes is very impossible to execute the preservation process with limited staff. Therefore, it becomes a very huge problem to the clinic Shaikh. So for the solution of the problem that I stated, we propose that the Shaikh clinic use the digital archive as one of their material or way to manage and preserve the records, as it is one of the best solution that can solve many problems that stated. It can solve the storage or lack of space problem by digitize the material, and the digitized material will be stored or managed in the digital archive, and it can dispose the obsolete record or non-active record that have no longer value for the clinic, and also can they can store or fit in more active record in the storage room, and also the digital archive also not consume too many costs such as the physical or manual preservation. It also do not have to use too many stuff to handle the digitization and the digital archive in digital material in the archive. Therefore, it will the clinic will not have to spend more cost on the hiring staff and keep update with the material or tool to preserve the material in the physical format.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Hesya Binti Zulkeflee. Today I will present about advantages and disadvantages of digital archive. The first point for advantages is as a backup if a natural disaster happens. So why do I say as a backup? Because we never know when a natural disaster will happen. We never know the day, we never know the date, and so on. Okay, and then one of the natural disaster often happen in Malaysia is flood. Although we think that our archive was in a safer place, any disaster will never happen and so on, but we never know. I am afraid that if a flood happen, for example, happen in our archive area, we might not be able to transfer all of the records in time. So it is better for us to make a backup through a digital collection of record, so at least we're able to retrieve the records, although we lose the physical records or collection. Second advantages is easy for retrieval and decision making. Doctor or staff can just search for it through the system, which means that doctor or staff can search the information they want through the system and they get the result as soon as possible. Okay, it is different from physical records because they have to find it one by one, and it takes several times as well. And then it helps in decision making by showing some sort of description about the collection, and so it is help for their decision making, which is to decide whether it is fulfill their needs or not. The system will not display any description if it is a confidential record. So in our digital archive, when they access it through the system or website, if it is a confidential record, it will not allow to unauthorized person access it. Okay, but if the person have the authorization, for example, a doctor want to access a records of her patient or his patient, they are allowed to access it. Okay, because they have the rights. Third advantages is can be accessed anywhere at any time. So doctor or staff of polyclinic Shaikh can access it wherever they are, in their office or anywhere. Okay, as long as they have the internet connection, they have phones, smartphones, laptops or tablets. Okay, so they can access it. Digital archive will be more flexible. So why do I say it will be more flexible? Because they don't have to come to our archive. They can just be at their office and access for the information they need. Okay, and then can be accessed by more than one person at a time, which means that many people, many doctors and staff can access the system or website at the same time. Okay, there will be no problem happens. There will be no issue that the second person have to wait the first person done her research, and so on. no physical boundary issued for each doctor and staff. Okay, unless if a doctor and staff want to see the records physically, they have no other choice, but they have to come to our digital archives. Fourth advantages is storage and prevent damage. So storage is actually one of the problem that we state in problem statement. So by develop a digital archive, we are able to keep as many records as we want. We don't have to worry about storage anymore. We don't have to worry if we have too many records of patient and so on related to our polyclinic shaik. And then we are able to cut the cost on buying shelves for collection, which means we get to decrease or minimize the number of shelves. Okay, but for a special collection such as X-ray or any other special collection, maybe we will need a special shelf. Maybe we will still need a shelf for them, okay, because we want to protect the material. And then to prevent damage, it is better if we digitize to protect the collection, because we know the record is not being used by one person only. Okay, it is being used by many people, and we afraid the records will tear apart or we lost the information. It is better if we digitize it, and when doctors or staff want to access it, we can just tell them to access it through the computer, through our website or system. So we get to protect the original version of the records. Okay, for next I will explain for disadvantages. First is technology issues. Technology issues happens when we want to use a better version of system, and when we want to change the equipment of hardware, which is a computer. Okay, so we can just, when this happen, if we want to transfer it, right? After we transfer it, a problem might happen. When we want to access it, the records might be lost, or it might not be complete. It might not be the same as the original version. So it is a problem that will happen, that used to happen when technology issues, right? And then if that thing happened, if the information did not complete, if the records not complete, it will make our doctors, staff or researchers have a doubt towards our digital archive performance. So that is one of the things that will happen when we deal with technology issue. So what we should do is we need to try it with other collection first, so at least we know whether the system and equipment are successful or not. Second disadvantages is hack and sabotage. If our system is not good enough, our system might be hacked by irresponsible person or party. This is very, very dangerous because we do not even know who is the hacker. We do not even know what they want to do with our records, containing digital archive. Okay, what will happen then? Collection in our digital archive could be destroyed with intention, and important data contained in the system could be gone as well because of hack activities. Okay. In some cases, hackers are able to damage old hardware and software, so this will cost us a lot to get it back, and at the same time we are afraid, right? If the records of our digital archive was in other people's hand. Okay, so that is second disadvantages. The third disadvantages is a virus. Okay, our hardware might get a computer virus due to our own action. Why do I say our own action? Because the action is made by us. We do not even realize that we are doing it. So the action are accessing an infected website, opening a spam email, installing a software or application without reading the license agreement carefully. Okay, so that's, and the impact towards our computer are the performance of the computer becomes slow, data that we keep about the clinic and patient might be lost, and the computer shutting down by itself. So virus is also a serious matter when we are doing digital archives. Okay, so the solution, of course, we have to install antivirus into our digital archives. That's all from me for advantages and disadvantages. I will let the next presenter present.
Hi everyone, my name is Nabila Binti Kamarulzaman, and I will present about the role and responsibility of people who involve in digitization, and not to forget the insurance management that help Shaikh Clinic in preserving digital material. Those people who involve in digitization process are among those who have experience in establishing and expanding digital collections. So the first role is a digital archivist. Digital archivist responsible in leading the archive in compilations of electronic records. So at the end of the day, all the information can be digitized. The next responsibility of digital archivist is digital archivist managing electronic records to be used by the archive. And lastly, digital archivist producing workflow. So other people who are involved in the digitization process or other staff can use it as a guide to preserve, use, and access. Moving on to the second role, which is information technology system specialist or IT specialist. So what IT specialists do? IT specialist is responsible in monitoring, implementing, and maintaining IT system. So any aspects of technology and system like networking, security, hardware and software is the responsibility of IT specialists in making sure that the process of digitizations can be done smoothly. So next role in digitization process is archivist manager. People often think that when we develop a digital archive, we don't need archivist manager anymore because we already have a digital archivist, but that is not true, because archivist manager is responsible in assembling, cataloging, and preserving records, as well as managing value of records to be digitized in electronic formats. And not to forget, archivist manager giving advice on new record management about policy and procedure to be used in a digitization process. And next is document reproduction technicians. So when we talk about reproductions, of course we need a technicians that can carrying out a reproduction process in microfilm and digitizations. So operation procedure is needed for sure, so a technician will manage this process to be used by the other people. Next is about Shaikh Clinic vendor. I wonder if you guys ever heard about artifactual system. It is a vendor that we use in developing a digital archive, and that helps us in reducing costs because this system is free and open source. So artifactual system is a digital preservation system called Archivematica that provide technology analysis and implementations of digital collections. Hence, that explains the reason why artifactual system can maintain its authenticity, usability, and accessibility of digital collection. So next is about insurance and management. So when we talk about insurance, we often think that why individual or organizations need insurance, because insurance is some sort of protection that can protect the individual or organizations from loss and uncertainty. So for digital archive, insurance is required to protect archival collections from all sorts of or all forms of disaster and emergency. Therefore, we have identified one insurance company that can protect Shaikh Clinic Digital Archive, which is a Blackwall Green company. It is one of authorized and regulated insurance company by Financial Conduct Authority. So, if you guys ever wondered about what this company, Blackwall Green company, do, this company mostly covered document recovery when a disaster happened, and it can reformatting badly damaged material through microfilm and digitization. And lastly, this company can recreating fully destroyed material by creating information using other sources. So another primary functions of insurance are insurance provide protection of record. It can prevent loss and economic progress. So economic progress happens when organizations can prevent loss. Of course, the organizations can reduce costs of organizations when they want to repair damaged material. So that is why insurance help in economic progress.
Okay, so for the process of digitization, it involves some of the latest technology, which is to scanning and to capture the information in the material by using such as a printer or camera. Okay, it also involves the system or software to manage the digital materials, we use such as Archivematica website, Google Drive, and also Dropbox. Okay, we also the process. I'm sorry. The process of digitization start with identify the types of record during the appraisal, which is the identify the value of the record, which a record should be digitized, which record should be preserved physically, and then the information after the appraisal and identify the value of record, the material will be going through the process of information capture process, which is the scan or the capture the information using the camera, and after that all of the record that have been digitized will be uploaded into the Archivematica database, and after the record will be uploaded, the key in process will take part, which is the key in all of the information of the record in the Archivematica, and then the all of the records and all of the records will be automatically upload into our digital archive website, which is for viewing only without editing access, because our website is a link to the Archivematica database. Therefore, they will be automatically upload. After that, all of the record will also be uploaded into the Google Drive and Dropbox to make sure that the records are still available even though the website or the Archivematica is offline, and as a backup plan if there anything happen. And lastly, all of the physical record that have been digitized will be stored back to their original place, to make sure that we also preserve the originality and integrity of the records.
For a doctor and staff of Polyclinic Syariah, when they want to access the records or collection contained in digital archive and our digital archive, they will have to access it through the system, through the website. Okay, so I will show a video on how the collection or records will be displayed in the website. So let's watch it.
So continue, I will present about the preservation planning in digital archives. Okay, in preservation planning for digital archives, it different a little bit with the physical, but they also provide the same similarities. Okay, so I will explain about the planning the digital archives. Okay, normally the organization will using the hardware, software as the main devices, or we can say that as input and output to keep the electronic records in the right standard for the digital archives. In addition, provide digital archives are more accurate and more specific because it can be accessed in the long-term continuation. Definition of preservation planning is a process that organize preservation activities which is discovered by the scope of identification, evaluation, registration, and a treatment of history properties in a logical sequence. Besides, the standards for planning discuss the element of relationship among these activities, while the remaining activity standards consider how each activity should be carried out based on the forms of records and through the preservation need. Okay, in develop the digital archives, there need included the two major body, which is hardware and also software. In develop the preservation planning in the digital archive, the most important that need to be discovered by the organization is the system that support the digital archive. So based on our observation, we can say that Shea Clinic can be systematically using one of the system that I consider popular among the digital archive, which is Archivematica software. Okay, continue to explain about the Archivematica. Okay, Archivematica is the free databases programs that can cover in a backup the documents and data of the electronic medical records. The application records of preserving memory in digital format. In order to digitize the physical form, the first thing is to scan the records to preserve the values of the records. Based on the electronic medical hack can be eligible for the digital preservation. Digital preservation encompass the text and photographs databases and spreads factors or raster programs and app, desktop files and business network, emails and also social media. In terms of electronic medical records, we priority the desktop files which consist the information and legal records consist about the patient and also corporate clients. By this, Archivematica program is one of the software that we can say that act as a digital content to support the digitization process. By using Archivematica, we still using the Dropbox and also Google Drive as a backup the databases, but we have a limited spaces to backup overall the records. Okay, by this we still depending in the using of the Archivematica program. Okay, the reason why we choose Archivematica program: first, free download; second, act as a open sources, and the most important is the support variation method or support variation format of the files. By this, Archivematica is really considered as the best solution in order to develop the digital archives in the standard and stable financial planning. Okay, continue with that. Okay, in order to preserve the digital archives, okay, they also require several steps in preservation, which is includes three. First is the implementing the process, second, review and revision, and third is a public participation. Okay, not only the digital archives, the preservation planning of the original preservation. Continue with the methods. Okay, in order to develop digital archives, included the implementing the process, review and revision, and also public participation. Okay, we can say that not only the digital archives need this method, the physical preservation also need this planning to be in the right standards of the preservation, the collection and the records. Okay, the reason of the preservation planning of the physical formats are to preserve the integrity and the authenticity of the original materials, but a little bit difference between the digital archive, which is digital archives are more to the content and the context of the records as well. So I will I will give the next presenter to continue the content that they would like to present. So thank you from me. That's all from me. Thank you so much.
So next is about emergency planning. Emergency planning is used in a child clinic as a guide when emergency or disaster happens. So it aims that to reduce costs in organizations, reduce costs in terms of staff, archive, and collection. So emergency plannings have three activities that are preparedness, response team, and recovery. Next is about preparedness. Preparedness is one activity in emergency planning. So what is preparedness? Preparedness is a preventive measure as a guide to use in the event of emergency. One thing of preventive measures to provide a floor plan. A good floor plan it can explain or include all details in the facility, in the building, in the floor plan, but it is still easy to use and easy to understand. So if you guys can see below, these are the list of items to be included in the floor plan. So the first one is about descriptions of the facilities in the building. So a good floor plan need to include all the details, all the facilities, and all the important part of the building in the floor plans. The second is about emergency equipment. So when emergency happen, of course we need to know where to locate emergency supply and emergency equipment to be used in the event of emergency or disaster. So third is about fire extinguisher. At least organizations need to include or need to put at least 2 fire extinguisher in each floor. And next is about emergency exit, also important as a way of staff to save themselves. And lastly is about floor plan need to include emergency storage areas. So we need to know all these important locations when emergency happens to protect all collections, important collections in the archive. Another thing to be included in the preparedness is emergency equipment and supply. Emergency equipment and supply such as rubber boot, glove, and board cutter are the types of equipment that we need when emergency happens. So these emergency equipment and supply need to be stored in a strategic locations such as outside the building. So if a disaster or emergency happens inside the building, these equipments are safe. Apart from having these equipment and supply, we should know that emergency equipment and supply, this equipment should only use for emergency purposes only. Hence, that explain why these equipment should not be borrowed for daily use. So the next activity in emergency planning is emergency response team. Emergency response team is required after the emergency plan is completed. So what this team do? So this team are required to carrying out the task of rescuing archive collection, both printed and electronic format. So these are the team in emergency response team. We have administrative team, backup storage team, support service team, and information technology system team. So we know that this team has its own responsibility, but they have only share only one purpose, which is to protect the archival collection and rescuing this type of collections in archive. The last activity in emergency planning is recovery process. Recovery means process of recovering records of digital and non-digital records to enable us to protect the contents of the records. For printed records that will remain in shred clinic, process handling and storing records and need to go through the prescribed procedure. The prescribed procedure consists of the task of who needs to manage the records and the process of transferring records during an emergency. So to identify important record, marking need to be done on the records such as marking using a flag or categorizing the record in a box using a box. Records will then need to be transferred to off-site or remote storage area based on certain circumstances. So in addition, in proposing site clinic to digital archive, we need to know how to protect these digital collections. The easiest way is to perform a backup, process a backup by making a separate copy of electronic record from the original. So the example of suggestions copies that can be made are we can make one copy of the latest data which was copied this week and one copy of data last week that now superseded by the most recent copy, and lastly is one copy of data the last week before that superseded by both this week's and last week data. So each of these copies that I've mentioned just now must be kept in a separate place from the original. In this way, Shred Clinic as digital archive can ensure that electronic records are always available and accessible.
For budget, we have to make a calculation, right? Because we want to make a digital archive, so there will be a little bit of changes, or maybe we have to add a new things into our digital archives. Okay. So for hardware, we will need a printer which are able to print, copy, scan, and fax. We need to add a monitor. We need to add mouse and keyboard. We need to add an internet connection. Internet connection, we have to increase the speed of internet so that our archive are able to operate easily and faster. The total cost for hardware is 8,283 ringgit and 50 cents. For software, we will need Microsoft 365 Business Standard and antivirus Kaspersky with the total are 1,723 ringgit and 92 cents. For equipment, we need to add office chair, and then for security equipment, we will need fire extinguisher, CCTV, fire detection system, fire alarm system, and we need emergencies equipment supply as well. So the total for equipment is 4,952 ringgit and 80 cents. For storage, so storage is as a backup, work as a backup for information contained in our website. Okay, so we will need a Dropbox and Google Drive. The total for storage is 1,084 ringgit and 92 cents. So the whole total for all those four types of budget, hardware, software, equipment, and storage, is 16,045 ringgit and 40 cents. I will pass to the next presenter.
To conclude our proposal, digital archive can be a very great solution for all of the problem that happen in the shy clinic. Many advantage can be benefit the organization itself, and however there also a disadvantage of the digital archive. Therefore, the archivists need to overcome a new solution for the disadvantage of the digital archive, and also all the preservation and disaster and emergency planning must be provided well to make sure that all of the plan can be executed properly and in a short time if there anything happen, to minimize the damage or the physical damage of the digital archive. As I said, that the benefits of the digital archive can really be a great tools for the organization, any organization, to manage their records and it consume less cost. It will easy the records or information retrieval. It reduce the time spent to manage the record. Therefore, we propose Shaikh Clinic to use this digital archive as one of their tools to manage their records, to make sure that all of the problem that happen for the record management can be solved without any problem. Okay, so that's all from us. Thank you.